Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
If John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. And it's not for us to know. Somebody other than Karen is responsible for that, for the killing of John.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay, here we go. Hello, Jennifer, Ray. How's the New York roll call for this evening? Melanie here. Dark Side, Audrey, Christina. Just as chickens. Hey, Tater. Thank you for moderating. So I wanted to talk about the news in Karen Reed case, because my real interest is, of course, the civil trial and how my microphone is low. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me fix it. 1 minute. 1 minute. Let me fix it. Let me turn it up. Very low. Better. Better. Is it still low, Doris? I'll wait until you guys catch up. It's lower now than it was? All right, hold on. How is that? Better? I hope it's better. Better be better. Now you can't hear me at all. All right. Still bad? Okay, hold on. I'll figure it out, guys. Thanks, kitties. Hold on. I'll be right back. Let me figure this out.
Mic check, Roberta strides through the static haze. True crime Gotham where the shadows play their plays. Fraudsters fold when a spotlight beams. Fact-focused queen busting propaganda schemes. Glass shatter lies echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Post, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing she's the anti-fraud light. Hard cash warrior, dissecting state and defense. Twisted innocence, claims breaking pretense. Gotham's truth seeker cuts clean with the blade. Facts in the forefront, no justice gets swayed. Cold facts drip heavy, real talk unfurls. Cracking cases open like oysters with pearls. Innocence gimmicks crumble to dust in the wind. For victims, her creed, justice till the end. Headphones blazing, she drops heavy artillery. Narratives twisted, meet blunt object civility. Roberta got receipts that unravel the ploy. Exposing the lies these fraudsters deploy. Glass shatters lies, echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Post, truth sharp as night. exposing she's the anti-fraud light.
Okay. That should be pretty good. Am I going all the way up? All the way up? Okay. It's really weird. Maybe it's... Okay, is that better? Can everybody hear me? I'm just going to wait because there's no sense. Sound check is much better. Thank you. Okay. StreamYard has changed all sorts of things with this program, and it's interfering with my microphone. Oh, boy. That's the inside baseball. Kitties, 1993, thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships. My understanding is that they'll be handed out at random to whoever is in the chat. Appreciate it. So, 100% better. I like 100% better. So, big news is that Officer Goode, who testified in Karen Reed's first trial, has been put on leave while they investigate some corruption that was connected to another officer at another department. And let me just show you this news piece. They're connecting it to Proctor, and I'm going to talk about why I think this is such a gift to Karen Reed. I mean, she really is the luckiest murder defendant as far as taking advantage of things that really have nothing to do with the fact that she reversed into John O'Keefe with her foot 75% down on the gas pedal at speeds of 24 miles per hour and a little bit over that. I mean, in reverse. So she's going to take full advantage of this, as innocence fraud campaigns always do. And it doesn't look like it's dying down anytime soon, Karen Reed's innocence fraud campaign. Take a listen to, this is Channel 5 on Officer Goode's paid basically, essentially a paid vacation while they investigate misconduct.
Goode. Sergeant Sean Goode testified during Karen Reed's first trial about how he'd been working as a patrol supervisor the night John O'Keefe died and answered the 911 call after O'Keefe's body was found.
I ended up dispatching my own officers, my downtown cruisers to 34th Fairview, and then I had one other cruiser come back to the station so I could get down there.
Now, Goode has been suspended from duty and placed on paid leave while being investigated for alleged misconduct. Canton's acting police chief, Joe Perkins, says the allegations against Goode were discovered during an investigation into a former member of a different law enforcement agency. The chief says that discovery was made on October 24th.
So this is where they're going to connect it to Michael Proctor, whether it is connected or not. I mean, it's a lot. The connection they make is logical, but who knows?
That's the same day a court filing indicated investigators have now found highly sensitive information on the phone of former trooper Michael Proctor.
She's a whack job. Yes, she's a babe.
Proctor was the lead investigator on the Reed case who was fired for sending insulting text messages about her.
Do you have any thoughts yourself?
Hallelujah.
Demonstrators outside the Canton Police Department celebrated the news of Goode's suspension.
It's gone way too far that there's this many police officers stepping outside the four corners of the page, getting themselves in trouble.
No, Goode's home here.
Okay, so here's what innocence fraud campaigns will do with this, is that we've had 2 investigations into Karen Reed's arrest and the investigation into the murder of John O'Keefe. So one federal investigation and one done by 5 Stones. So that was a independent audit by the town of Canton, which cost the town, I believe, my memory is $198,000. correct me if I'm wrong on that, ridiculous amount of money for what they produced. And there's been zero evidence of any kind of evidence planning, serious corruption that would affect Karen Reed's case as far as her guilt. Planning of evidence, the timeline does not afford any kind of planning of evidence in this case. As far as taillight, Karen Reed smashed to smithereens taillight. Yet, what innocence fraud cases do is so gloss over all the details of the case and say, well, this officer was, so say, let's just flash into the future. Michael Proctor was let go. Officer Goode was investigated for corruption, even if they don't find any corruption, just merely being investigated, which is what fraud does so well, is make something look like something it's not. So what was Michael Proctor really let go for? Mean texts about Karen Reed, which were unprofessional, but certainly don't affect Karen Reed's guilt or innocence in any way as far as who's responsible for the murder of John O'Keefe. It's not like they found on his phone, like, hey, I got the taillight pieces, whatever. There's timeline doesn't even afford that, but something like some bombshell, something. I mean, we saw in the court case how little they really had, them walking around the car. I mean, in the Sally Port, that the video was reversed. I mean, it was a mirror or mirrored. It's more like a mirror image. I don't know what effect that had on anything. Still the same car. But as far as what this will do will say, see, the officers were corrupt in this case. And what they mean by that is in ways that would affect the case as far as Karen Reed's guilt or innocence. And what it will do is any case that they're involved in, and we see this in the Brian Walsh case, where Michael Proctor is a police officer on the scene, or a police officer involved. I'm not super familiar, forgive me, with the Brian Walsh case. That they're going to create what they call a pattern and practice of behavior. And so say that anything that he touched is now questionable, and you have to either reverse a conviction or the evidence is no longer reliable in cases that are upcoming. And we've seen them go after police officer or detectives in Chicago. Go to my interviews with Martin Pribe on the same issue. And this is a huge gift to Karen Reed. Because anytime now, it's not just anytime Michael Proctor's involved, and they tried to divert attention away from their client, Karen Reed, meaning Karen Reed's lawyers did in her case, by saying anytime the evidence got really damning, they would question a witness about, well, when did you talk to Proctor, or somehow bring in Michael Proctor into it. And now they have Officer Goode. So it doesn't even really matter whether they find anything or not. And ever so helpful, the mainstream media is always willing to help out a killer. Always willing to help out a killer. It's unreal. Ted Daniel, the fanboy of Karen Reed, has come out with a new stunning investigation. Let me show you this. This is too much.
This story was born out of a pretty high-profile case that I covered, the Karen Reed case, and
where I wore a pink tie supporting the killer, or the accused killer, on the first day of court. And I was always, any time I could help her out, gave her softball interviews, treated her more like the Queen of England than an actual killer. Now I'm helping her out with this. Now I'm investigating. I mean, look at what a small little thing this is. So this has to do with GPSs on police cars. That the policemen who are driving their police vehicles actually have the ability to turn off their GPS.
The activities of
This is apparently a huge scandal.
a now former state trooper. We learned that trooper took a trip to the Cape, which was a big deal during the Karen Reed trial. And I was reading through the documents about that trip, investigative reports, internal affairs reports, and I noticed that the trooper had a device in his car that was supposed to track wherever that car went, but the data didn't exist. It just showed essentially his car turning on in the morning and then coming home late at night. I was able to determine from some of the documents as well that this trooper had a switch to be able to shut off his tracking device. And so I said, okay, what's the deal with these tracking devices? And I looked back, and several years ago, the state police did this big sort of media availability where the then colonel talked about, hey, this is all about transparency and accountability. We'll be able to keep track of everyone on the road. And that was born out of a previous scandal, the overtime scandal. And so they said, hey, let's do this tracking system.
Yeah, so police make a lot of their money on overtime. So if there was a scandal with police overstating their overtime, I assume that's what it was. I can understand how GPS would be handy. But where's the actual evidence of some kind of corruption that actually affected the evidence in Karen Reed's case? Where's the actual evidence of corruption or conspiracy in Karen Reed's case?
Through the course of our reporting, we learned that a large number of these cars with tracking have a kill switch. There are legitimate reasons a kill switch may exist.
There are legitimate reasons why a kill switch may exist. I mean, is this his own word, a kill switch? Is this his own piece of wordsmithery, or is that what it's actually called? Or is it actually called turning it off? It's like, well, there actually may be legitimate reasons why this switch may exist or why someone would want to turn it off. But myself as an investigative reporter, I didn't ask that question. I instead went, that wouldn't get me the big headlines and the big news watching. An actual explanation why someone would want to turn this off. I didn't ask those questions.
But in the cases, a couple cases we found, it was being abused.
Yeah, but we were just going to talk about the cases where turning it off was abused. The kill switch. The kill switch to the GPS was abused. We're going to talk about that. We're going to run with that. Always helping out Karen Reed, Ted Daniel. The pink tie wearing Ted Daniel. There he is. Unreal. Wouldn't that be like the first question you ask? Is there a legitimate reason before you run with the story? Are there legitimate reasons why you might want to turn this thing off? I mean, not even pretending to be fair and balanced. So unreal. So there's that. There's a statement from Charles E. Doty, town administrator, from the statement from the town of Canton and the interim Canton Police Chief, Joseph Perkins. The following is a statement from the town of Canton and interim Police Chief, Joseph Perkins. On Friday, October 24th, the town of Canton was notified of allegations of misconduct concerning a member of the town's police department. which was discovered during an investigation into a former member of a different law enforcement agency. Immediately after becoming aware of the allegations, the town engaged an independent investigator to conduct a thorough administrative investigation into the allegation of misconduct. Sergeant Sean Goode was immediately placed on paid administrative leave pending the outcome of that internal affairs investigation. One of the early reports I had on this, they weren't releasing the officer's name, which I thought was a little bit more fair. So they come up with nothing, then you're still, your name is still smeared, but okay. So there's that. And that Charles E. Doty has an interesting connection to the case, going back to his daughter was at 34 Fairview, and celebrating Colin Albert's birthday. Town Administrator Charles Doty sends email to town employees calling Turtle Boy First Amendment auditor, tells them what not to say moving forward. So Turtle Boy, this is from June 2023. So I believe Turtle Boy started covering this case in April, about mid-April 2023. So this is just early into his reporting. He writes, on Tuesday, I went to Canton Town Hall and asked IT Director Louis Jutras why 3 minutes of footage that would have shown Karen Reed driving by the Canton Library, which is a hoax, at 2:37 a.m. on January 29th, 22 simply disappeared. He had no explanation and said this exculpatory evidence was gone forever. While I was there, I ran into town administrator Charles Doty, whose daughter Catherine Doty was not only present inside 34 Fairview Road on the night John O'Keefe was murdered by Karen Reed on the lawn, never made it in, but okay, but also had her first and last name intentionally spelled wrong on a police report by State Police Detective Michael Proctor. I'm a terrible speller. I don't have to intentionally spell someone's name wrong or something wrong to spell it wrong. I love that it's now everything's a conspiracy. He's intentionally spelling names wrong to protect people. And so here's his little video he makes interviewing.
Information systems, right? That's what we want. 206. What's his name? Louis Jutras.
So that's. So there he is, Charles. And Catherine Doty is his daughter. Remember, this is the time that Karen Reed was scouring Facebook like no other with her right-hand woman, Natalie Bernschneider-Week. And they were looking to create these kind of fake conspiracies. So there's Catherine Doty. And Sarah has known Brian Jr. for approximately 8 years and was at his house on Friday night for his birthday. I'm sorry, Brian Jr., for his birthday. Did I say Colin? Brian Jr. for his birthday, approximately 8 years, and was at his house on Friday, January 28th for his birthday. Sarah arrived around 8 that evening with Julie Nagel. Sarah stated Mary Kent, Emily Fabino, Courtney Alba, and Catherine Doty. And instead of being spelled with a Y, it's spelled with a IE, and her name is spelled with an E at the end. And they all ordered pizza. Mary, Emily, Courtney, and Catherine all left prior to anyone returning from the bar. Sarah stated Brian Sr. arrived home from New York with his friend, who she did not know. The two were returning from a New York police officer's funeral. We heard all about that at the trial, who was killed in the line of duty. Sarah stated Brian Sr., Nicole and his friend left the house to go to a bar in Canton, but did not know which one. Sarah stated when Brian Sr., Nicole, and Caitlin returned home, they were with a few friends, Matthew and Jennifer McCabe, and Brian's Sr.'s friend from earlier, who Sarah did not know. In response to this, Doty sent out an email to all Canton Town employees, falsely labeling it says Turtle Boy as a First Amendment auditor and warning town employees how to handle people like me. So he's saying, good afternoon. At the department head meeting this morning, a memo was issued that provides important information regarding First Amendment auditors and how employees should respond when confronted in the workplace by members of the public. Most of you are aware that we had a member of the public visit Town Hall yesterday who filmed his interactions with several employees, including me, which he had a right to do. It is an unsettling situation to find yourself, but even more if you do not have a good sense of what you can and cannot do or say. Please read the memo and share with colleagues in your office. My sense is that this is not an isolated incident, so think about how you would react in advance. Talk to your department head or supervisor and formulate your plan. There are many videos on YouTube that show real First Amendment auditors' encounters to give you a sense of how they interact, i.e. they're aggressive. Thank you for your cooperation, Charles E. Doty. So that's who's issued the little connection to the case. In other news, so I mean, I just think this is just like a huge, huge gift to Karen Reed. And she will be playing this up for all it's worth. If she does not get, someone brought up a really good point to me today about, I mean, if she does not get all these parties that she wants added to this civil case, then it's really just her on the stand. And she's going to have, I think, a tougher time pointing the evidence away from herself. But the other issue is depositions. So we're in they should be going to discovery soon, and they're going to ask to depose Karen Reed. And Karen Reed is not going to want to be deposed. She likes to talk to people like Ted Daniel, people that won't press her or catch her in lies or ask tough questions where she can control the narrative. And she's not going to like being deposed, but if you listen to my interview with Tom Murtati, who's a super civil lawyer, he feels that she's not going to be able to take the fifth, either on the stand in her civil trial or in her deposition, depending if... I think that she may leave like she did with her phone. She took her phone to Florida when they had a warrant out for her phones. So they just watched them go to visit. They watched her phones being, just going on a plane or leaving Massachusetts to visit Ingrid and Bill Curtis, her friends in Sarasota, Florida. So I think she may go to somewhere where they can't find her. That's what I'm thinking about it. And just try to avoid the deposition altogether and do the same kind of thing we saw in the criminal trial where they just sandbag the other side. So not give them any kind of idea what she's going to say on the stand or any kind of information where she's nailed into a story. And even all the interviews that she gave with her for that incredible second jury didn't seem to hurt her at all. So, yeah, I think she may skip out. So, just a kind of a interesting, this is just like another gift to Karen Reed. And we see that under the pressure of the innocence fraud, they don't tend to stick up for their fellow officers, these police departments. They're happy to throw these scapegoats under the bus and say, you know, oh, they've been gotten rid of. And whatever you think about the decision not to bring Proctor on the stand, he certainly was very present in the second trial, much more bigger part of the second trial than the first. How can she skip out? Well, if they can't find her, they can ask to depose her on whatever, and she cannot show up. That's how they can do it. It's been done before. They can't find her. They can't depose her. They can subpoena her to testify, but I mean, in a deposition, but she cannot show up. What are they going to do? I don't know. We'll see. She's a very criminally sophisticated woman. So I'm going to keep it just brief for today. I have more stuff coming. Tomorrow, Courtney Clemmy is asking for bail for the fourth time. Will she get it? That'll be an interesting one to watch. I'll be back tomorrow with more true crime news. Stay tuned. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Have a great night.
I hit my boyfriend with my car. It wasn't an accident, but with lying lawyers I'll go far. Lying lawyers and witness harassment. I'll avoid prison. It was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system I clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim. Carry, gin, like John, you were my mark. My innocence fraud campaign is my biggest hit. Snowing, I pushed the pedal down, to my clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim.